It's good to be here again and to be able to share with you another hymn. Before we start, some of you have asked whether it would be possible to include the lyrics of the hymns that we're sharing in these programmes, and it would be great if we could, but I've been advised that the copyright rules are so complicated that it's probably safest not to share the song words. But what I can do, and what you will see that I have done today, is to include the hymn number from Singing the Faith, Hymns and Psalms and Complete Mission Praise, in the hope that you will be able to find the words. Today's hymn is O Love That Wilt Not Let Me Go, and it's a hymn that unashamedly springs from tears. And I can't hide the fact that it is set to a tune that always stirs up emotions within me. The hymn was written by George Matheson, and it came out of a time of immense mental distress for him. He says that at the time that he wrote the hymn, the words came to him quite quickly. And the tune was written especially for it, and I think the tune beautifully captures not just the meaning but the tone of Matheson's words. For me, the beauty of this hymn is the way that it brings together the struggle of Matheson's human story and the triumph of his faith in God's story. He describes, as the hymn proceeds, his weary soul, his flickering torch. He talks about enduring pain. From what he tells us, his pain begins with mental distress, but as any of us who have suffered from poor mental health will know, mental illness can often be accompanied by physical pain. What comes across from Matheson's lyrics, and somehow is also communicated in the tune written by Albert Peace, is something of the unvarnished reality of how difficult human life is when we're struggling and when we're suffering. You know, it's a great comfort to me, and it may well be a comfort to you, that the Bible never seeks to hide that struggle. We could go to various different places and find humans in raw, unvarnished expressions of pain and doubt and affliction. Today my mind goes to Psalm 31, where David lays bare his own hardship as he wrestles with the pressure of being pursued by human enemies and having to go into hiding. In verses 9 and 10 we read, Be merciful to me, Lord, for I am in distress. My eyes grow weak with sorrow, my soul and body with grief. My life is consumed by anguish and my years by groaning. My strength fails because of my affliction and my bones grow weak. We see there that physical pain and mental pain come together. If you look up Psalm 31 and read the whole psalm, you will see that it is a psalm that describes a time when David is having to hide physically from those who were seeking to pursue him. He had to go into hiding to protect himself. But it also recognises that for David, physical safety sat alongside his own need for a mental and spiritual refuge, and he says that he finds that in God. And perhaps for us too, in our physical refuges, home, in these places where we've been told to stay safe, we too need to find those things that protect us in our body, mind and soul. David cannot ignore the imminent physical threat. He needs to take sensible measures to protect himself, but he also asks God to protect his mind and soul. In verses 14 to 16 he writes, I trust in you, Lord. My times are in your hands. Deliver me from the hands of my enemies. Let your face shine upon your servant and save me in your unfailing love. And isn't that the very same thought that all those centuries later Matheson expresses when he places his trust in the love that will not let him go? You see, in both cases we might imagine how their faces are wet with tears, they're red and hot and exhausted from crying out to God. And yet even in the breathlessness of their cries, somehow they hear the whisper of God's love that speaks to them deep within their being and reassures them in ways that we can express little better than the Apostle Paul did when he says there is the reassurance that nothing in all of creation, nothing can separate us from the love of God that is in Christ Jesus. And isn't that a remarkably comforting, reassuring and safe place to be? To know that in anything and in everything there is nothing in the whole of creation that can get between us and the love of God. Oh, love that will not let me go. And so I pray that you have already and will continue to experience God's love, light and joy seeking you through the confusion and the pain and the affliction of this present time. And I encourage you to look out for the rainbows, not just in the photos that are going to accompany the song, and some of them you have seen before, but look out for the rainbows in the sky and the rainbows in our hearts, because each rainbow is a reminder of God's promise that his salvation and his saving purposes will always overcome destruction. O joy that seekest me through pain, I cannot close my heart to thee. I trace the rainbow through the rain and know the promise is not vain. Morn shall tearless be. And it may be that until that morning comes we need to continue metaphorically to pass the tissues to one another. But this night will only endure for a moment, and joy will come in the morning. So please enjoy, O love that will not let me go.